I have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, a serial entrepreneur, somebody who is wildly successful both as an entrepreneur and as a human being. Vern, you've been on a lot of shows. You've done an enormous amount of coaching. Who are you?
By the time I was 30, I had already created 5 companies. And that was great, except for one challenge. I was not happy. For anyone who is a serial entrepreneur or is looking to go into business or is running a business or a company, what I would say is it's got to be good for you, good for others, good for humanity. And I wasn't doing that. I created exit strategies out of 4 of those 5 companies. I said, if I was going to do anything for the rest of my life, what do I want to do? Helping people, connecting people, making people's lives better.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa D. Murphy, and I am very excited to bring this episode of Elevate Wellness. I have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, a serial entrepreneur, somebody who is wildly successful both as an entrepreneur and as a human being, really has really learned some secrets that I think we can all tap into. And whenever I'm with him, no matter how much he's handling, no matter what the deals are, no matter what the commerce is, he can keep his mind right. And I think that's something that we all want to practice. It's our intention to practice, but I don't know if we do it so well. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce my dear friend, Mark Murphy's business partner, the CEO of Fortune Management, Bernie Stoltz. Bernie is also a best-selling author. You've been on a lot of podcasts, Bern. You've been on a lot of shows. You've done an enormous amount of coaching. And if you could tell everybody a little bit about Fortune Management, what it is you do as a CEO, and really, who are you? What do you want the audience to know about you?
Well, let me first start off by saying it's a pleasure to be with you for a while this morning or this afternoon, wherever you guys are listening from. But and also, I want to pay a great compliment. You and Mark make such a dynamic team, and I'm so happy for you guys, and so grateful and thankful. And I guess where I would start is, in this last book that I wrote about now 3 years ago, the very first chapter is all about gratitude. And I think one of the things that I would tell all of your listenership is gratitude is where it all kind of has to start, I think. It's this high, bright emotion that makes everything better. In the absence of darkness, there is light. In the absence of light, there's darkness, right? So gratitude being that. But I'll give you just a brief background on me. I mean, I'm born and raised in San Francisco to 2 19-year-old kids who were kids themselves. So they kind of, as we were growing up, they were kind of like my big brother, big sister. But one of the things that I learned at a very early age is that, I did not come from wealth or money or was a silver spoon kid. And so it was not an easy existence at the beginning. I was not, the doors were not open for me to go to good universities. I figured out very early in my age that probably the educational route was not going to be in the cards. So actually, I started my first company when I was 22 years old. And I'm going to spare all of the minutia of that. But by the time I was 30, I had already created 5 companies. And that was great, except for one challenge. And the challenge was at 30 years old, I had 5 companies, maybe a couple hundred people working under me, but I was not happy. And of course, that's the key. And I did a little soul searching, a little introspection about why was I not happy. And what it really came down to was I didn't feel like I was doing purposeful work. And so for anyone who's watching today, who is a serial entrepreneur or is looking to go into business or is running a business or a company, what I would say is it's got to feel good to you. It's got to be a class 3 experience. It's got to be good for you, good for others, good for humanity. And I wasn't doing that, but I was always good at making money. Money's never been a challenge. I think, first of all, that's a mindset as well, to know that we live in a world of opportunity, opportunities everywhere if you look, but you have to look. But again, at 30, what I found myself in was 5 companies that were making money, but were all transactional businesses. And it's one thing I went on to tell my 2 kids. I go, look, it's not appropriate for dad to ever tell you what to do for a living. The only coaching that I would give you is don't ever go into a business or a company where you're buying things, selling things, and living on the margins. Because at the end, it's just transactional and it's not purposeful. And what I encouraged them to do is I said, I don't care what you do for a living, but figure out something that is your powerful why and a powerful purpose. I don't care whether it's going to be a doctor or attorney or building companies, but create something, serve other people, something that serves, something that's got purpose. And so I wasn't doing that. And so at about 30 years old, I said, I got a lot of game left. I better do something else. And so I created exit strategies out of 4 of those 5 companies. The only thing I really kept was my real estate holding company. And I said, if I was going to do anything for the rest of my life, what do I want to do? And it was really about doing something that was really purposeful and helping people, which is something that I know you and Mark and I all have in common. It's why we're kindred spirits. It's about helping people, connecting people, making people's lives better, And so at that point, I knew I had 2 good qualities. One was I was a pretty decent public speaker, although I was just getting going in that. And the second thing is I really was good at business and good at executive coaching. And long story short, we created back in 35 years ago, 35th anniversary this year, Fortune Management. And Fortune Management is now, 35 years later, is the leading and the largest executive coaching and practice management company for dentists in the world. And I would also say I did not know anything about dentistry, but what I knew about was I knew about people and I knew about business. And so, Fortune today, really, we wear 3 hats. We are, first and foremost, we are every doctor and their teams. We serve as their executive coach, both on a professional level as well as personal level. Second thing we are is we are practice advisors. We show them how to really work on the business of dentistry. And we also have a veterinary division as well. And we also have a plastic surgery division. And so we're in any kind of elective care, healthcare. And the third thing we are is key business strategists. And there's a lot to that as well. So it's kind of where we are. I sit today as the chairman of the board of that company and CEO of it. We have about 150 advisors in 90 major markets throughout the United States and Canada. And at any given time, about 1,500 dental practices under management throughout North America. And then from that, over the years, we have created this galaxy of other companies, one of which was one that Mark and I did 25 years ago, which is Northeast Sequoia Private Client Group. And that was really a need that came out of my pain, because one of the things that we teach to every client is life mastery. And life mastery is really 6 areas of life, right? It's the most important one, which is emotional fitness and emotional mastery. Second one being, and I know you're passionate about this, and that is health and wellness. So, because health is wealth, right? So it's all about that. Number 3 is relationship mastery. Number 4 being whether you want to call it spirituality or purpose. Number 5 being your career mastery, and number 6 being mastering money or wealth. And that changes as your life goes on. But Um, for the first 10 years of Fortune, we would teach our doctors and teams how to really create financial freedom and independence in their lives. But then we didn't have a national network of advisors, financial advisors, to really turn them over to. And so a lot of times our clients would experience the good, the bad, and the ugly of financial planning, which was not acceptable. And of course, Mark came into my life about 25 years ago, and I go, we can do some magic together, and we have. I mean, we've changed a lot of people's lives financially over the last 25 years. So there's a financial planning component. We also, Mark and I, and a bunch of other Fortune clients also own a products company called Oracare, which is an activated chlorine dioxide rinse. We just launched our new toothpaste. That company's 12 years old now, multi-million-dollar company. It's in 6,000 dental practices across the U.S. We're very proud of that. And then there's some other things we do within Fortune. There's a lot of divisions, right? There's a clinical mastery division. There's hygiene mastery. There's now, about 7 years ago, we created a program for dentists, which is called F50, which is all about, there's so many doctors out there in the country who they no longer want to get paid for what they do. They want to get paid for what they know. And so now we show them how to scale, whether that means they want to grow one $10 million location or they want to have 10 practices or 20 practices. We can show them how to do that. But everything's always on the premise of just doing good things for people. There's a chapter in my book that says it's okay to do good by doing good things for others. So that's, and this morning or this afternoon is just an extension of that. I hope that, for me doing programs over 35 years, I know it doesn't take a lot to change the trajectory of somebody's life. So it's been a journey.
Bernie, you've overcome a lot too. It hasn't just been all success. When it's really difficult, when it's people are having a hard time right now. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot to manage emotionally, physically. I know it's gratitude, but you also, I spend a lot of time with you guys and we travel, and you have a way in which you handle so much with ease that I don't see with a lot of other CEOs. I feel the stress, you feel that energy. I can feel stress from people that I really never feel around you. I never feel coming off of you, no matter what is happening. And I think you have several gifts that trump all others. One being, I think you can see right through people. Like it's an innate ability that you've mastered. You really have a way to read a room and navigate. I think that's an incredible strength that you have. And really, probably because we weren't the super educated, right? I didn't go to one of those schools either. We didn't have that money to do that. And you had to kind of pay attention to your gut. I think you have that uncanny ability, and I want you to speak to that. And I also want you to speak to, how do you manage the stress that you're feeling what everybody else feels, but you've mastered managing that? So can you talk to both of those?
Yeah. And I think, overall, what you're talking about in most of that is EQ, emotional quotient, right? Which is one of the ways that I would advise anyone who's running a business or building an organization. Those are the people and the attributes you want to look for in other human beings, which is things like street smarts, common sense, awareness. How many times have we had people on our team or in our life that just have a whole lack of awareness? It's frustrating, right? But what I would say, and again, all of success in business and in life always comes down to the one and only thing that we can control in our lives, and that's our mind. Emotional fitness, mental toughness. All of business is psychology. All of life is psychology, right? One of the things in the last few years that has added to really helping me to be even happier than I ever have, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, And one of the things that I started studying a few years ago is Stoicism. I mean, it was like I read a few years ago Marcus Aurelius's Meditation. And I think that is a great reality check for every human being. And I'll tell you why. Because in modern day today, we think we are so educated. We think we're so evolved. We think that we got this thing all figured out. Hey, let me tell you something. Guys like Marcus Aurelius, 2,000 years ago, were maybe more emotionally evolved than we are today. It's amazing. Now, we live in a world today where we have more technology, more knowledge, more stuff. But I don't know if human beings have really emotionally evolved over the last 2,000 years. And there's a what Marcus Aurelius believed 2,000 years ago was that, first of all, you only should be paying attention. And this is where you say about how people get stressed. And I think we listen to too much. 95% of the information that comes to you and I on a daily basis is nonsense. It has no effect on your and my life. And if a human being really understands, at the end of the day, guys, you can only control one thing in your life, and that is your mind. That is the only thing that we have 100% total autonomy and control over is our mind and what we think. You can't control as much as you want to live healthy and live a long time. Hey, nobody knows when cancer strikes somebody or whatever it is. You can't control if somebody else loves you. You can't control the weather. You can't control the stock market. You can't, and here's the big one, you can't control what other people think or say about you. There's a great saying, what other people say about you is none of your business.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. I love it.
I guess what I'm saying is what I've learned to do, and nobody's perfect. I mean, you always let crap creep into your life, so to speak, or creep into your mind. But what Marcus Aurelius said is you should only be putting your energy into the things that you can affect and you can control. You only put your energy into getting better, helping your family, and making the world a better place. And only do what you can do, and don't worry about what you can't control. Right? I mean, if anyone's ever seen the Serenity Prayer, right? What does that say? It says God.
I just posted it.
Yeah. I
remember sitting at dinner and you say, looking right across the table and saying, do you know it? And I said, I live by it. Yeah. I try to practice it all the time.
Yeah. And then my favorite poem from Rudyard Kipling, If. I would advise anyone just read that. That is Stoicism. And look, some people confuse that concept of Stoicism. They think that don't confuse Stoic with Stoicism. Stoic means you're non-emotional and you just sit there like a lump of stone, and that's not me. I mean, I'm just like you. I'm Italian. I'm emotional. I talk with my hands, right? All those good things. But Stoicism is something completely different. And so I think if you're in business today, in any form of leadership or business, I think you absolutely want to embrace some modern Stoicism. There's a great author out by the name of Ryan Holiday. And Ryan Holiday wrote a great book, which can be a daily exercise for your viewers. It's called The Daily Stoic. And it's 366. You can listen to one every day. You can get it on Audible, but just get your mindset straight, right? So I think everything begins and ends with just having total understanding that the only thing you control is your mind. And from that, you can do anything, unlimited, and also you said something, you said, well, guy, people are struggling today. Well, they're struggling. Why? Because they're focusing on the wrong things. I mean, this one thing that has given me this freeing feeling is I don't watch a lot of news anymore, and I certainly don't buy in to social media. I mean, if I want to post that I was on a trip or things, but what gets people in stress today? First of all, social media is a double-edged sword. We love the fact that we have technology and we can now, show friends, family, colleagues, we can communicate that way. But how many people are tuning into Facebook or Instagram on a daily basis, and they come away with FOMO because people only show the good parts of their life on social media. People don't go on, or I mean, I guess there's a few people, but most people only show the highlights of their life. So if you're a human being and all you see is all these other people that in your circle of social media who are all living this incredible life, right? And you're living a real life, you walk away with like, wow, what's wrong with me? So those things will mess with your mind if you let it. But the bottom line is you got to stand guard for the doorway to your mind. Does that make any sense?
It makes a ton of sense. And I want to talk about social media as entrepreneurs who, we kind of have to be on social media. And I feel the same way you do. And a video that impacted me and changed my course on social media was it was a concert or a parade or something was happening, and there were crowds and crowds of people. And everybody had their cell phones recording. And this one little old lady who was about 90 years old was leaning with both hands, staring. And it changed everything for me. And I want to be in my life, present in my life. I was in that mindset of, let me take a great picture to post. I need to get content and post. And I really let that go. I mean, I probably the last 15 trips we've been on, I have not posted about it. And it's just so freeing. And of course, I care what people think. I care what people think, but I don't care what people think. And I use that in a way in which it works for me now. And it didn't always work for me. I was caught up in this post it and get that many likes. That took space in my brain. It doesn't even exist anymore. And it really was letting go of what I thought was important. And it wasn't. And to get back to being in contribution, leaving a legacy, making the world a better place, the last thing I want anyone to feel going through my social media is bad about what they have, because I'm artificially inflating what I have. I have struggles. I have 5 kids. I am married. I have a 92-year-old mother. I have business. I have my own health stuff. And we don't talk from that place. And I realized I can't be upset about it if I'm participating in that way. And it was one of the reasons why I said to Mark, I'll work with you and we'll do the podcast together to keep it real, that business is about highs and lows. Not every day is amazing. And there's certain skills that we have that other people just haven't mastered. And it is, I think it's everything, no matter if I make money or lose money today, I am so incredibly grateful that I put 2 feet on the floor today and all 5 kids are doing something today. And Mark and I are great today. And my mother is alive today. And those are the blessings. And it's been a couple of weeks that have been brutal. Nobody would want to change places with me right now for what we've gone through personally, who was diagnosed with cancer, who died last week. It's been rough, but people don't post from that place. It's either what I'm noticing more and more, it's victim martyr or, hey, look at me. And I think it's a moral responsibility to be authentic in how we're all using social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's how I started. It's a double-edged sword. It can be a wonderful communication tool. I think you can promote your business on it. I think that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, George Strait, the country singer, had a great line. He said, "Hey, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time." And that's another thing that Stoicism puts in perspective is 100 years goes really quick. Your life goes really quick. And you don't want to spend any days in things like worry or stress because it's not going to matter. Um, we all want to leave a legacy, but the reality of it is that no one's going to, you're not going to be remembered either way. Um, so just be present, be in the moment. I think that is such a way. I'll tell you what else has changed in my life, because I think it's chronological depending on what your age is. I think when we are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, we're in the accumulation phase of our life, right? And what that means is most people want a better life, which they a lot of times connotate to having wealth, having companies, having a lot of materialistic things, which, by the way, those are all ego driven, by the way, ego driven, edging God out, ego, right? Worst part of every one of us. But when we're young and we're in warrior mode, right? That's where we are. But one of the greatest shifts that a human being can make, whether that be in their business career or in their marriage or in their life, is when they're willing to make the shift from warrior to statesman. And when you make that shift, now it's no longer about you. Now it's about others. Now it's not about materialistic possessions anymore. So you get to a point. So now for me in my life, and I feel grateful every day. And by the way, getting up every morning and just asking a question of yourself, what am I most grateful for today? If your viewership wants a secret 1 minute exercise, or what I would say is every morning get up and go around your life wheel. And of course, 6 areas of your life wheel, right? You say, what am I most grateful for emotionally today? And of course, for me, what I've learned, and I hope everyone learns, is you get to choose your emotions. People with emotional fitness who are living a proactive life know that they get to choose the emotions that they want to filter the world and operate through. So for me, there's 5. Gratitude, of course, as I said, is the number 1, but also I want to be happy. So happiness is another. The next one is I want to be kind to others. The other one is I want to come from an abundant place at all times, because I know that it's an abundant world if we really look. And the one that I adopted, the 5th emotion that I've decided, and I did this about 5 years ago, like COVID times, was optimism. I added that. So those 5. So I get grateful that I get to choose with my mind and my emotional fitness, those 5, which is how I operate the rest of the day. Then I get emotional for if I'm healthy. Did I have a great night's sleep? Did I eat well? Did I get a workout in? Things like that, just basic. I'm not a health nut, but at 66 years old, I'm 6'5", I'm 220, and I can still rock it, right? So bottom line is I'm grateful for those things. I'm grateful for all my my relationships. And the best way to ask that, remember, thinking is just asking and answering your own questions. So you can't just say, oh, I'm grateful. No, you got to say, what am I most grateful for? But when it comes to my relationships, I go, well, who do I love? Who do I have in my life? And who loves me? I start with my wife, Nancy. I love my kids. I'm so grateful for them. Now my grandkids. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my business associates. I'm grateful for all the clients we get to help. So I answer my own questions. Then it comes to spirituality. Spirituality for me is more about contribution. Who did I give to today? How did I make the world a better place? Then I go on to my career. And for me, my career is like, hey, what am I most grateful for in my career? Well, it's because I get to do purposeful work and I get to help people. And then and for me on money, it's not so much about money anymore at 66 years old. For me now, You know what's most valuable to me right now? Quiet mornings, good coffee in the mornings, having peace of
I love when
mind.
you sleep over because you're the only
Having
one who
peace
makes
of mind.
coffee that I like.
Oh,
Like,
I love
Bernie
it.
made
I love
coffee.
it. I just came, Nancy and I just went and we were out on the Kona coast of Hawaii for a month. And just to hang, because I can, right? I mean, I normally will not set any meetings until 10 o'clock in the morning. I made an exception for you this morning
Thank
at
you.
9 o'clock. But bottom line is this, and I don't need to have a lot of calls, right? I mean, I'm to a point now where if I make 4 or 5 big decisions a day, I'm good. But it's about having peace of mind. It's about having freedom of choice. Um, I, I, I don't need any more money, but the one thing we learn as we get older is the most precious commodities we have are our time and it's our health, right? Because when you have those two things, you got it all. So, I mean, it will change over time. I think, when you're 30 and 40, you are still in warrior mode a little bit, but I think you can do it in a better fashion than you don't have to be fierce, right? You don't have to be angry about it.
It makes a ton of sense.
Makes sense?
And it's staying present, right? Every day. My grandmother would say all the time, first your destiny is born and then you are. And tomorrow is promised to no one. And going through some emotional tough times right now with in our family and helping the kids through it. We were in Aruba and just got a lot of bad news, like really hard stuff happened. And John and Connor.
Well, Lisa, here's what I'd say. If somebody called me and said they got bad news in Aruba and they were going through some tough times, here would be the really caring coaching that I would give. Number one is, it's a 3-step process. Number one is, I'd ask it in the form of a question to myself or to you. Do you have full awareness of the full situation? Not making it worse than what it really is, not lessening it, but just dealing with it really logically. What is the full awareness of whatever that situation is? And by the way, to globalize this can be about anything in business that's a challenge. This can be anything in your life personally. But first of all, have all the facts and have full awareness. Second step is, okay, let's develop a plan of action that is realistic, where I'm going to invest the energy into. We're not going to invest energy in worry or making shit up in our head. We're going to only put energy into the things we can affect. And maybe it's about putting energy into somebody else who you think you can make a course correction to, but only putting energy into the situation in your business, your life, your health that you can control. And again, back to the serenity prayer, right? Grant me the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And then the third thing is the will to stay on path, the will. So it's really 3 things, right? It's first of all, awareness. It's number 2, it's plan. Number 3, it's the will. And I think number 4 is doing it all with integrity, and being at peace with whatever comes. I mean, we're all going to lose people in our lives. We're all going to have challenges. So what? It doesn't define you. It doesn't define you or who you are or what your life is. Actually, what defines you is how you show up for those occasions, because people do watch, right? But again, do you even care about that? It's really about taking care of your family. So I think it's, and some people will say, well, man, that's pretty matter of fact and kind of heart of stone, but no, it's not really. It's really about keeping yourself centered, because if you can do that, then you can be a voice of reason to others and to yourself. That's what I would say.
To be a teacher. And I remember when I heard the news, it was first to process it without reacting and really taking the time necessary before I could help the kids through it, and not escalating the emotions, and to just say, okay, we're here. This is what we can control. And that is it. And, we're still breathing. There's beautiful water. There's not much more we can do right now than what we can do. And there was still some enjoyment in life and in the moment, and celebrating that we were together during when we got the call, and to really look at what could be so incredibly devastating and upsetting as a time to come together and be closer on a different level. And I think that's something from the second I met you, we go deep quick. It's not a lot of fluff. I am not talking about my, last week's purchase. It's irrelevant. It's what matters now. And we talk a lot about life and how we approach life. And I think all these conversations, years and years, and living with Mark and all the work that I've done is showing up big right now. And I think it's those little things that we do every single day over time that add up, that we can now be emotionally fit. So for anybody saying, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming, I don't have time to go listen, I'm starting my company and I'm going 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's a little bit. And I still listen all day long. And I did download that app when we were all in the restaurant. Listening a little bit in the morning, listening when I can in the afternoon, listening in between recordings, listening when I'm walking the dogs, and certainly before I go to sleep. And it's made such a difference in my life. Your friendship has made a huge difference in my life. And I just so appreciate you breaking your own rule to get on at 9:00 on the West Coast. Listen, you're not in Hawaii. It's not like 3 a.m.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and how I always leave everything. And first of all, by the way, I think what we're talked about and what we've done here for the last 45 minutes or so is really we philosophized. And philosophy is a really powerful thing that I wish that more people in the world, whether in business or in life, would use. Being a philosopher is a good thing. And I think it makes your heart and your head better. But I will finish our lovely time together by just always saying what I leave a lot of calls with my friends, and that is, I'm always a call away.
I love you, Bern. I appreciate you, and I know all the listeners are going to listen to this over and over and take a lot of notes. So thank you.
Yeah, and one thing, I will do one shameless plug, but it's actually a tool. About 3 years ago, I wrote a really cool book. It's actually my signature piece because I'm not an author and I don't plan on writing a bunch of books after this. But I wrote a book called The Fortune Recipe. That was a little bit of a play on words for our parent company, but really the underlying, the tagline to it is essential ingredients for creating your best life. And you can get it on Amazon, but I think that to me, all I did, it was my Pay It Forward book. It's about 40 principles that have helped me to have what I believe is a quality life. I don't have it all figured out, just like nobody does. But I think if anyone wanted to go deeper, dig deeper, and it's written from an entrepreneur's perspective. So I think that's a good tool that would help anybody. And
I love you, Bern. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. Once again, this is Elevate Wellness, and I am Lisa D. Murphy. How do you like that, Bern? I'm Murphy now.
That's right. And of course, the last chapter of that book I just said is titled Mahalo. And of course, Hawaii's always been part of my life, but most people believe that the word mahalo just means thank you, just like gracias in Spanish, but no, it doesn't. It's much deeper than that. What mahalo really means is with ultimate respect and gratitude. So to you and all your listeners, mahalo.
Thanks, everyone.